Hello and welcome to the RWBY Podcast. I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow. I'm Mr. Icicle. I'm Mr. 10 Below. They call me Mediocrity 4. Whatever I touch freezes in my clutch. I'm too much.
I mean, I think up with something cool like that to do, but it's Christmas, and I'm just glad that this year's almost over, and I have a job. So, it's me, high powered. Also, I enjoyed the episode.
I still just can't believe we had 6 good episodes in a row. I'm dude. What's wrong? What is this? 2020 is weird, man. 2020 is really weird.
I'm the guy who's yelling over at Kim Yuck to figure out whether or not he actually loaded a bullet into the revolver, because it seems like we've clicked too many times, and I placed my bet on somebody to get shot in this fucking game. Like I'm actually kind of pissed. I think this Russian roulette game is rigged. I'm Coop.
It was rigged from the start.
Wait a minute, those are snap caps.
Good episode. I think there are some controversial aspects to it. I know there was something that Eddie said that was very not well received. Him trying to explain something away on Twitter. A lot happened in this episode, and it's gonna be interesting to get through. So where should we even start? I guess we should start with the fact that the whale is vomiting just Grim into Atlas, and the military is all lined up, gunning them down, but they're just starting to get overwhelmed.
This is the weirdest fucking way to try and go about it that I could possibly have thought of. Like, I don't see why they're doing it like that. That's
like Napoleon-style lines.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait. Weirdest
Yeah,
way the writers could have gone about it, or weirdest way the Atlas military could go about their defense?
Yeah, that one.
The second one.
The
Okay.
second one.
That's what I was gonna say. Because I feel like the whale vomiting Grim juice actually makes a lot of sense and is kind of cool. I actually like that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, no, the
Aesthetically,
whale
it
vomiting
looks
Grim-
cool.
I think that's
Yeah,
that's awesome and it makes
that's
sense. But
perfectly
yeah,
fine.
the lining up like in fucking almost like Civil War style, like
Well, no, even in the Civil War, we didn't do that shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
this is
not
Napoleon,
that bad.
Napoleonic
This is-
Wars.
this is bad. It's yeah.
Yeah, this is what happens when when a writer or animators, it could just be the animator's fault. They're only experienced.
Wait a minute, hold on. You're right. You're right. All right. I have to defend myself real quick.
Yeah.
I know more about the Civil War than that. I'm just tired. You're right. It's not the Civil War. They had lines, but not that stupid. Like even they would have had more variation than in this.
Yeah.
The Civil War was kind of like the first initiation of more trench-based warfare for infantry. Usually, there were still it was a very transitional period in doctrine as far as that goes, because you had a lot of really weird stuff that was actually kind of like cool doctrinal strategy going on. You had dragoons that was just, it was like, hey, how about instead of cavalry, we have infantry that ride horses to the battle and then just get off to fight and stuff like that. It was weird. It was a weird phase.
Hey, you see this
military
rock here? Why don't we stand behind it and shoot from behind it? Things got weird.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you did start to have things besides just perfectly manicured lines of infantry and stuff like that. You had started to have actual a little bit of precursor to trench warfare, because you had things
now to be fair,
Pickett's Charge and the Union version of Pickett's Charge, which was the Fredericksburg kind of issues where you had the people just throwing themselves at well-entrenched infantry and getting completely blown to bits.
Up a hill,
So, yeah.
into artillery.
Yeah.
I say this as faintly as the country song of the South had won we'd have it made starts playing in the back of my head.
I will say this, the South had a cooler sniper rifle. The Whitworth, I cream my jeans every time I even see one. That polygonal rifling.
Oh yes, polygonal rifling. But to be fair, there were trenches in the overview shot, though. It's just there was just a bunch of people standing out in the open in their, square in their formations. Let's get back to RWBY.
But I just want to point
I
out
still
that
think
this
it's
looks like a
funny
video
though
game.
how because then that leads into the whole argument on the airplane with Winter and the remnants of the Aesops, and if Ren, John, and Yang are offering, like, after overhearing the plan, are offering to, like, go in first and maybe loosen it up a little bit, it's just drop them off. That's their sentence. I don't see why like they had to like make such a stink over it. I was like, oh, if you wanted to do
Yeah,
it, you might as
I don't
well.
get I don't get why. I said this before, and there's a couple things in this episode specifically that are pointing out what I think is the biggest flaw in this volume so far, and it's something I've said before, but it's like y'all realize that all of this stuff is important, right? Like Mantle and Atlas, and like I know we'll get into this later because this is something that a lot of people are complaining about, but like y'all realize that if anybody on Salem's team gets Penny, they're all dead. Like the whole Mantle, Atlas, Ironwood, Aesop's, Robin, Happy Huntresses, Evacuation, Crater, none of that will matter. They'll all be dead. Uh, so you kind of you do have to pick your battles, and you can't just, you know, you gotta accept all the help you can get at this point. Like,
Pretty much.
Yeah,
like
it's kind of like
when
it's like sure we're breaching some protocol here though, but like it's like they are such a small fish to fry at this point. It makes more sense just to pick them up and drop them off somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's like
I
you're out
think
of my hair.
I think part of the reason why it happens is because, as much, it's at least maybe I'm giving the writers too much credit, which I probably am, but to me it kind of felt like the Aesops taking things personally, even though they pride themselves on not getting emotionally involved in anything. I think they personally do kind of detest, our heroes, whatever, because it's not even Team RWBY anymore. It's whatever. It's RWBY Junior. You know what I mean? Like, I think they do personally kind of hate them at this point. So I think that's partly why they're so opposed to like listening to them, and that's why Winter's the only one who does. At least somebody is smart in of the Atlas group, right? I'm glad at least they had Winter as like, okay, yeah, sure. I'm glad
And
they
you
didn't
could
have to
even
like.
argue with Winter. It's just like, fine, I'm getting these people out of my hair.
I mean, I think she could
and
tell like the tactical advantage of that. She's like, having some guinea pigs would be nice. Like that would
I
help.
mean,
So why
Yeah.
I mean,
not?
not only that, but Oscar and Ozpin by extension, uh, are kind of invaluable when it comes to like fighting. You can't really trust them. Yada yada yada. They might not be that good, but Ozpin knows how to fight. And
Yeah.
Ozpin knows, and Ozpin's fought in plenty of wars in his many lifetimes. Like he knows how to like throw down with that stick of his. Like so yeah, he's worth like 1,000 soldiers for that reason, if for no other reason. Like that's ignoring the fact that he's also one of the only people who knows how to activate the relic of knowledge, and they don't want that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that, all the pragmatic aspects of saving Oscar are still outweighed by the fact that
Wait,
he's their
didn't
friend.
Oscar give away how to activate the relic?
They don't know
Yeah.
that. They wouldn't know
They
Oh,
that.
don't.
they just gave her name.
Yeah. Well, that's how you activate it. You literally just say the
Yeah.
name. You're like, yo,
I'm saying
Jim.
that Yang and Jean don't know that. They just know that Salem's got the relic, Salem's got Ozpin.
They got to go in and save his ass and slash or get exploded to death with a
Yeah.
bomb. Because apparently JDAMs do exist. Who fucking knew?
I'm
I'm
finally
just
glad that
glad.
they're taking our advice for once.
I'm just glad that somebody like was reasonable and they didn't have to. Because I was going to be annoyed if they made it so they had to like break out or something just to get that. That would have been kind of dumb. So I'm glad that at least Winter listened and was like, okay, yeah, go ahead, sure.
You can break out with a bomb. It's hard to find the appropriate cover to do it, but you can do it.
No, I'm just not talking about bombs though. I'm just saying I mean break out as in like I'm glad somebody that had them taken that had them
Oh,
captured
fuck.
didn't like somebody listened to them. Somebody said, okay, I'll set you free. I'll let you do
Oh,
this.
okay.
That's
I
what I
thought
meant.
you meant
Yeah.
breaking out of a whale.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I
no,
would-
no, 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 no. Oh yeah, no, I'm sure they could break out of the whale. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not. Or,
in before they don't do
sorry.
it in time, but Jean Bussier's aura enough to like tank the explosion, and then she just goes like Super Saiyan 4.
That I
Jesus.
swear, if that's what they do, like the bomb explodes, Yang
Like-
absorbs the energy of the explosion, and then just like One Punch Man's a hole into the whale. I could see it. I really can.
like
Yes,
fucking
but it would
direct
kind.
shot.
Ultimate rule of cool moment, right?
Assumedly, if she were to like fucking take it all in and then immediately fucking let it all out in one go, it would fucking that shit would be like enough kinetic force to probably blow a hole in the whale and through the whale and still transmit across the air and send out a shock wave that like completely ruptures the guts of every Atlas soldier. And
It would
then
almost be kind of like what's his name trying to absorb the nuclear reactor in that sub in that one X-Men movie. First
Yeah.
Class, that's it. It's almost like that.
Sebastian Shaw,
Yeah, I actually liked him as a villain. He was pretty good.
played by Kevin Bacon. So yeah, I do like the Aesops in this, and I like Rin's explanation for why the Aesops lost is less dumb and also more along the lines of what we were, in a general consensus in believing than
Yeah.
Mara's like, we were holding back from a
that
few years ago.
Like, I
It
don't
was-
believe
that
you.
was
Rin-
Press X to
I mean,
doubt.
Rin-
It's kind of
Rin-
like the anime thing. It's like, well, y'all's friendship points aren't high enough, so you can't beat us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still fucking stupid either way, but it mirrors what the explanation was that we got from the off screen.
The
Like-
thing is, in fairness, I don't hate it because it's not any dumber than the stuff that we get in every other action series ever, which is the power of friendship. I mean,
Yes,
we
it
even
fits
get
the
we
the
even
genre.
get power of friendship bullshit in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, okay, and in Star Wars, and in almost every anime. I mean, it's literally in everything. So if that's like the explanation that we get, like they lost because they didn't have the power of friendship, I'm not even slightly mad because it is less dumb than what we thought. And if we're okay with literally everything else doing it, then we have to be okay with RWBY doing it too.
It
Yeah.
depends how it's done.
No,
like
no,
in
yeah.
Star
It's
Wars-
just it's like a
in
trapping
Star
of the
Wars it makes
genre.
sense. It in
I'm
like
not saying it's
say-
perfect.
Yeah, like in say like fucking Fairy Tale or something, it doesn't make sense. It's literally just, oh shit, I forgot I was friends with that guy for 1 second. Now I'm super powerful because I remembered I had a friend within close proximity of me for no fucking reason. Whereas
I
in
tried
Star
to watch
Wars,
Fairy Tale, and it was so bad I had to stop. I could not
Yeah.
watch that show.
Yeah, same.
yeah, whereas in Star Wars, like there's actual like stuff backing that up, like
Yes.
the claim.
Yes.
And
I mean, and there,
and it's not made very often anyway. It's like sparingly used to the point where it isn't overdone. And
no, that's true.
in
That's
it,
true. I'm not saying it's done the best here, but I'm saying it's not the worst thing. Like it makes
Oh,
more
really
sense
does.
than what we thought before. I think.
yeah, I don't think it makes more sense because it is basically the same explanation that was used before. It's just not. It's just that they have set it on the show now. And the explanation used before was by the writers, and they said, yeah, the Aesops only lost because they got angry and were not thinking right about stuff.
Oh, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the we were holding back thing.
Oh yeah,
That's
no,
what
the
it makes
we-
more sense than that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it definitely does make more sense than that because there's no reason you would hold back against people, like especially if you're in a fucking like possible
It's-
death combat
Well, no,
thing.
I mean, especially with the way combat in RWBY works, like the whole thing with Aura was just an excuse for Monty to animate people beating each other with swords without getting cut. Like the use of lethal force is not actually lethal force in RWBY.
Except when it is.
Like,
Yeah,
like think about it like
until
this
your aura
too.
runs out.
Is like if you were to create like a role playing game that like existed in a anime world, friendship would be a stat that you would roll on and against. And that's how it is in all anime and especially in RWBY.
It
So
kind of is.
is it dumb? Yes. but it's what you buy into whenever you get into this sort of
When
entertainment.
are we
So
when are we going to get an anime in which the villains figure this out and start being friends with each other and using their better friendship to defeat the hero's friendship?
isn't that one guy who works at
That's,
off-brand McDonald's?
yeah, I was gonna say that's exactly what I was gonna say. That's literally Devil as a part-timer.
Yeah,
That is literally Devil as a part-timer, where the bad guy has the best power of friendship, and so he's actually basically the hero.
He's
yeah.
better than
Yeah,
everyone
the-
else.
Yeah,
Because
the literal devil and his like
Yeah.
friends versus the hero Amelia, who is like just the loner, don't need no friends
Have being
girl.
forced to work at
Ah,
like as telephone tech support. Oh man,
yeah.
just
And
imagine the
also,
suffering.
I'm pretty sure in the manga, she falls in love with him too, but eventually,
I mean, yeah.
I think so, because
Based.
it's not like seriously harem, because I think it's just her and one other girl. Like, I think
Yeah.
Chiho's the one who actually was like,
Chiho.
and she doesn't tell him because she knows that Chiho liked him first or something like that. So just so you know, I think it goes that far. So basically, the result is if the villain learns the power of friendship to defeat the hero, then he's no longer the villain. At least in terms of anime.
Is there gonna
Mm.
be like an inverse where it's like it's kind of like the like in Megamind where it's or it's like it's like you can either die the hero or become the villain. It's like you can either become the villain but then you end up dying the hero.
Yeah. I think there was also like an
Well,
Avengers
Megamind also learns the power
where
of friendship and then becomes he's also like technically the good. He's not a
Yeah,
bad guy either,
he is
right?
the good guy.
Yeah. So, well, that
No,
one's
I'm
interesting because the who was the first hero guy, the one that retired? Because he wasn't a bad guy either. He wasn't actually a bad guy. He wasn't who's the
Yeah,
guy from The Boys or whatever that everybody
he
hated?
faked his death. I forget what his
Yeah,
name
but
was
he's
though.
not. Who's the guy from The Boys who like actually like rapes people and stuff? You know what I mean? Like that guy.
I don't
Oh,
The
Aquaman?
the evil Superman. No, the
yeah,
suit. No,
Oh.
suit. The guy
uh,
is basically Superman.
No, that's not Stormfront. It's
I forget what his name is.
Homelander, I think.
Homelander, that's
Homelander.
it.
Yeah, like the guy from Megamind is not actually Homelander levels. He's just kind of a guy, right? The bad guy
Yeah.
ends up being Jonah Hill's character,
Yeah.
who basically gets really close to being Homelander because he does. Yeah, I mean, just watch Shifrillis's video on it.
No, what I'm saying though is I would like an anime in which the main bad guy remains the bad guy, but just has friends who are also evil that allow him to have more friendship points.
That's what I like about the Flash comics because that's kind of what they do. Like Weather Wizard, the Trickster, Mirror Master, and Captain Cold all just like hang out
Just
at
chill
bars
in a bar
together.
together.
Yeah,
That would be really hard to do because the closest we ever got, one of the closest we ever got to that was Avatar: The Last Airbender. But then Azula did keep treating her friends badly, and then she lost her friends. So even
Yeah.
she started out with friends, but then lost them. Boiling Rock is amazing. That's a really good arc. And so yeah, that's would be interesting to see that. But I would. Was there anything where they actually do that, where they're
Yeah, there's
truly
usually
the villains
there
and they actually have friendships?
usually if you're the bad guys, you don't have friendships. Like the closest
Yeah.
thing I can think of to it would be like Gundam, but in Gundam, like fucking oftentimes the way it is that like it's not trying to portray somebody as being like strictly a good guy or a bad guy. It's more just like humans doing human stuff. I don't think there's like an actual straight up villain who is ever like buds with another villain and uses like their villain buddiness to be even better villains.
The
I can't.
closest I can think of that to that right now off the top of my head is Charlie Prince in 310 to Yuma, if you've seen that movie. But then even then, it doesn't quite work out that way, but at least at the beginning and middle of the movie, it works out that way.
I just
So,
want people to understand that just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean that you can't have people that are your friend.
Just because
Yeah, I
you're
mean
a
they
bad
have
guy.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
all the Sons of Anarchy is like that. I mean, they're pieces of shit throughout the entire show, even if they're like the
Yeah.
main characters and they have friendships. So there's that, I guess.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
those
but-
guys are put as the main characters is the problem.
Yeah.
Talking
No, I know,
about
I know.
Antagonist
It's
doing
kind of
it.
like, we
Oh,
want
yeah.
like the
I'm not
Legion of
trying to-
Doom, but like we want people
I'm
like
not-
actually
I'm not
hang out with
trying
each
to-
other.
I'm not trying to argue with you and say that. Oh, wait, there is one thing. I've just figured it out. Fucking Dr. Evil and Frau Farbissina from fucking Austin Powers. There you go.
Oh yeah, that is
Yeah.
true.
It's kind of a comedy joke thing, but I mean that's the closest I can think right now.
Yeah, Dr. Evil and Frau from Bisna. Oh, and there was also Baroness and her husband in G.I. Joe. They're pretty close.
Oh, and also the first villains in the Jack and Daxter series.
Yeah.
I think it's a husband and wife and that are the main villain in Jack and Daxter.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like examples for like temporary stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
there's a few arcs where the Brotherhood of Mutants and the X-Men are like, yeah, let's beat the X-Men through the power of our friendship. But then after they beat the X-Men, they start to like bicker, and the X-Men that are still like kick in, exploit that and drive them apart, and then win with their power of friendship. Like that's usually how it goes, and that's how it goes with the Flash as well. Like they'll work together, but then the Flash will just beat them all anyway. Like so it won't even matter. But
Also,
back
the
to
Flash is also kind of friends with those guys too. He hangs out with them as well.
I love it. I love the Flash.
I mean,
love
Coop
so
has a
much
good point though that like I think exactly what Coop is describing hasn't really been done yet. So I think it would be interesting to see that. I agree. But like there's like I guess we've given some good like kind of examples of that though. And we could see another version of that with Emerald and Cinder because I don't think Cinder values Emerald as much as Emerald values Cinder, but I could still see Emerald switch. I could still see them like doing a semi-switching sides gray area thing where they're not gonna. Because Cinder,
I think Cinder cares more than she lets on because
I think she does. Yeah.
Really irritated at Mercury when Mercury was like, she doesn't care about you when she's standing right there. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me reading too far into it, or trying to make hypotheticals where Cinder.
I mean, let's be real honest here. Like, Cinder's been like force-fed a truckload of humble pie. It's gonna have to start taking root eventually. It's just gotta chill out.
Yeah, and you guys might remember I've been predicting an Emerald face turn since early volume 4, I think, or volume 3 probably, before we even start talking about it. Not that it's like a really crazy theory. It's pretty it's like not surprising, right? But I don't know. I kind of wouldn't mind not a complete face turn for Cinder, but I wouldn't mind like a kind of gray area, like Draco Malfoy level sort of thing going on. It would make sense, like if because I could see
it makes more sense for Mercury, not Emerald. Like, because Mercury's kind of just along for the ride now at this point. Like he's bought in too much, kind of like how Draco Malfoy was.
No, I think what would happen with Emerald is Emerald would actually like. Emerald doesn't want to be part of Salem's group anymore. She does not want in on that. She's done, right? She did not.
Yeah, I mean
that.
her loyalty.
I think it's more that what I'd like to see is Cinder get Cinder's friendship with Emerald mattering enough that Cinder listens to Emerald instead of Salem. I would like to. I know it's kind of cheesy, but I like that kind of stuff. So I would like to see that.
Emerald's loyalty to Cinder has always outweighed her loyalty to Salem. Like it was always going to be a thing where, like, if Cinder ever strikes out on her own, Emerald's going with her. Like Emerald has no love for anybody else there except for like, I don't know how tight her and Mercury are. She seems pretty tight with Hazel though as well, and I think with what happened in this episode, I think that is going to happen. I think her and Hazel are both going to get to the lamp. They're both going to have the same question, and they're both going to get the answer at the same time, and then choose from there.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess transitioning into that, we still have got to talk about the Ren craziness that happened, but it's still a good transition into the scenes with Hazel and Oskar scenes.
Oscar.
Which I gotta admit, man, I'm hating Oscar and Oz a little bit less and less because like the scene
They're
that
making
stuff
it
is
work.
good.
They're making it
They're
work.
making it work, and he makes sense, and it's like, hey, he's being logical, and uh, I liked it. I thought it was good. I'm
Like,
surprised. I
just
hate saying
hey,
it, but
I mean, like it's a good ploy. It's a two birds with one stone thing. Gets the guy to stop hitting you. Maybe gets him to use up the question so that Salem can't. Like it's a good fucking throw to fucking try to make. Like is like maybe it won't work, but
Yeah,
if
like
it
I mean,
does,
even if Ozpin is wrong in this situation, and even if Hazel decides like, you know what, Salem's victory is inevitable anyway, so I'm gonna just go along with her for the ride. Like it doesn't matter because he have used up the last question. Like that is Ozpin's like real goal here is to like make the relic useless to Salem so that she doesn't get the beacon relic.
yeah, I mean,
Oh
as I say, like
yeah,
either
well
way,
yeah,
I think
yeah, because isn't the beacon relic like still out in the wild or something? Like, isn't that?
Yeah.
yeah.
like
I
I
just like it
mean,
because like it makes sense though because Oz knowing like Oz probably does want him to like quote unquote become a good guy. You know what I mean? And but either way it works, right? Even if it just fucks shit up for a bit, then it helps him. And if Hazel does stop being completely on Salem's side, then that's also good, right? It's just nice to have Ozpin actually being logical, which he wasn't always in the past. He was kind of an
or
idiot a lot of the time. At least this makes sense. Everything is making sense right now in this
I
show for
mean,
the most part, which is weird. That's why I'm
does
so confused.
it does
Which doesn't
lead
make sense.
you to like fucking the like it does if they were to have him use up the question, uh, it would lead Salem to not having a way to figure out where the beacon relic was, which I don't think they want to do exactly. So I don't think that Hazel will be able to use the question. It just depends how. Either he's going to decide not to, or he will attempt to, but be somehow interrupted and the question gets used up instead of him using it
Yeah,
by someone
yeah.
else in some way.
And that's fine to me because I'm interested to see what happens, right? And that's a good thing. Like I'm
Mm.
excited to see how they go about this, what Hazel does with this information. And I like that Ozpin's logic works no matter what happens, really. It still works out in his favor and it makes sense. Again, like besides the Ren thing, which I'm not entirely sure, even that mostly makes sense. It just wasn't exactly explained. It's just this is the first time I can think of in the show where I can't think of anything that doesn't make sense right now off the top of my head going on in the show, which is again first time ever, so it's weird. But it's good. That's why this volume so far is the best volume, I think.
Yeah,
Besides episode
like
one.
Ren was like talk no jutsuing them into basically stopping the plane and like just letting them go off to their like potential certain death. Which I mean,
Which do
it's
we
kind of
want to
not.
talk about that now?
I
I
mean,
mean, we can if you
sure,
want,
yeah, might
sure,
as well.
whatever. I wanted
So
to talk
Ren's
more about
semblance.
kids up, but I guess if we have to,
I
geez.
mean, we can go ahead if you want to finish with that. Go ahead.
So the thing about beating up kids is that it's super easy. Have you ever beaten up a kid? Just go up to some kid and beat the shit out of them. Really, really fun times.
You can put your
So,
hand on their head and they'll try to swing your
is,
arms and they can't hit you. It's
Yeah,
great.
hey,
yeah.
hey, Cooper, is that what Sherman did in his March to the Sea? He just saw a kid and just beat him up.
Probably shot him.
Oh man. Um
Perfect thing is media's going to cut all that out, so that's going to make no
Oh
sense
no!
whatsoever.
I mean, I just finished watching Wandering Witch Elena. This is all tame compared to one of the episodes there. Like you want to talk about child violence? How about a lollipop? People who watch that show will hopefully get what I'm talking about
It,
and be very
nobody watched
happy for
Wandering
doing
with
about it
Helena
like
just
that.
for the purpose of pissing media off because he wants people to watch it, and I want him to get that nobody wants to watch it because I told them not to watch it.
It's just like the
Uh,
dueling things. Like, actually, don't watch it, but on the other side's like, no, do watch it. Yeah, no. Let's get to the helicopter scene.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go to Ren's semblance being even more powerful than it already was.
Yeah, Ren just being like, "Hey, I noticed the color of your mood ring here. I'm just gonna
Mhm.
vibe.
Hey,
I'm gonna literally vibe check everyone in this helicopter right now."
hey, I definitely should have been the main character. I mean, if we think about it at this point, okay, Ren is, for anime protagonists, he's got the most anime hair right now because he's got slightly pink hair. He is the moodiest out of everybody, and he's the only one with a serious love interest right now, and he's got the most powerful semblance. By anime logic, he should be the shonen action main character.
we were kind of making jokes about that in Volume 4 when it was like his semblance is literally to like negate Grimm, and now it's proven to be much more versatile than that. So let's wrap about that for a beat because there seems to be some confusion on like what it is and what it does, and they think it's like the
Ability to
complaint.
read emotions,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, the complaint is that it's just another power up stacked on top of his powers, like all the one for all BS that's going on in My Hero right now. But it's actually more like full cowling from My Hero Academia, where it's just a aspect of his power he's kind of always had, and he's kind of always displayed in some form or another. But now it's like it's much more
It's out in the
versatile
open.
than he had. It's much more versatile than he had ever like decided to experiment with it on. So basically, what Ren Semblance has actually been doing when he uses it is that he senses people's emotions and he shuts them off. So with the added versatility that we're seeing now, he can manipulate people's emotions probably. Like I would not
So
be
what you're
surprised if he
saying
was
is he could
able
do
to
what
like
what's his name does in Deus Ex, where he's like sniffing people's pheromones to beat them in facts and logic arguments.
Mhm. That's true.
he-
Yeah.
yeah. So he sees. Well, again, this is all just a visualization of what is most likely like a sixth sense perception type deal. So we see like these rose petals and they're different colors and they symbolize different things. But then he's able to make inferences. Like he sees that Harriet is angry and that Harriet is like really just torn up about something, and he makes the inference that she is angry at Clover's death, which, remind you, happened like a day ago,
Yeah.
uh, or maybe even earlier that day,
Under a
if not
week.
like late last night. Like
Yeah,
all of
again,
this
whole
happened really,
volume is 2 days, right? They said
yeah,
Mm.
something
uh,
like that.
yeah, and that's picking right up where Volume 7 left off, which was like the last 4 or 5 episodes were a single night. So yeah, uh, and I think the inferences he makes are good. Uh, Elm and Harriet are clearly the more angry ones. Marrow's obviously been the most conflicted about all of this. You don't need a freaking decoder ring to figure that out. It's all over. It's been all over his face since episode like 11 of volume 7. Um, and yeah, Ren is an empath, and I'm looking forward to him using that on
Yeah.
Nora to get a clue.
Exactly. That is
Here's your
what I was
sign.
most excited about. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
He doesn't
Like,
seem to have any tact about it, like, which makes sense given the way he typically is. But
yeah.
is because if you know something, you should, and you know it in that way, it's probably better not off to not just fucking like show your hand about it in that way, and be like, yeah, I can totally definitely read your mind and shit, because then people will probably just fucking shut you off, which they.
Oh yeah, but I think right now I think he's advancing his like abilities more now, and he didn't know really that he had this as much before, right? I think like he's kind of unlocking more of his potential, and as we know from earlier episodes, he's in a pretty shitty mood, so he's probably not going to handle using his power in the best way possible, which is fine. I don't really mind that. You know what I mean? It makes sense given where he's at. Um, But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think it's a really interesting power. It does make sense given his semblance. It does. It's not like completely ridiculous. I could have, you know, well, the way media explained it kind of clears up most of my issues with like how it kind of seemed like it came out of nowhere. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like to see how it goes in the future, and especially with Nora. Obviously, I mean, to me, that's one of the most. That's going to be really important because if he has this, but he doesn't use it on her, if they don't like show that he's using it on her, then what? That's just ridiculous. But I'm expecting them to. Okay, it's too obvious not to do it.
I will say this, okay? If the celestial convergence that's supposed to happen tomorrow on December 21st does end up giving people Omega level mutant powers, and one of y'all kids out there ends up with the ability to read minds, don't let on that that's what you're doing to people, because it'll really piss them off, and they'll probably try to murder you.
Yeah, probably
Yeah,
not going to go well.
yeah, probably gonna go. Well, just keep it to yourself and don't be an autist about it.
Mhm.
That's really hard though. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why it is that autists always get the empathic overdrive shit. It's so weird. Why not give it to somebody who understands how emotions work?
I'm just getting flashes of the most recent Predator movie, where the Predators try to literally weaponize autism, like not even memeing, not even joking, not even using the like kind of derogatory. That is literally the plot of that movie, is that they're trying to like actually turn Asperger's into nuke.
You shove enough Asperger's into a metal container, you could probably nuke something with it. I mean, I don't fucking know.
I look like a scientist. God, that movie's so just awful. I don't know what possessed Shane Black to make it like that.
I bet you that there's a DARPA scientist that was working on the exact same thing and saw that movie and was like, fuck, and just had to completely restart everything. It was like, how am I gonna MK Ultra these kids into being autist bombs now? What the fuck is this? Everybody knows. I gotta do a completely new project.
So what's next on the agenda?
Like right after Ren did his thingy, he basically convinced them to let them go on a
Yeah,
suicide
suicide mission.
trial,
And
and they
then
were
I
like,
think
"Yeah,
after
you know
that
what?
is
The Ruby
Tyrion.
scene.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
Ruby scene. Oh wait, did we already talk about like Tyrion and
That happens later. We can talk about that now. So Tyrion is not going to be in the volume anymore. It is
oh,
sad
it's a
times for
shame
media.
too. Well, Tyrion's not gonna be involved, and also too Mercury. He's got the most lines he's had in forever, and then he exits
yeah,
stage left.
yeah.
Fingers.
After little kid finishes getting his beat down from big Hulkbuster dude, fucking Emerald was actually listening in on it the whole time and managed to parse out that Salem actually wants the complete destruction on the world on the off chance it manages to kill her too. She tells Mercury this, and Mercury is like, "Yeah, even if he's fucking telling the truth, what we gonna do about it?" And then Tyrion comes along and is like, "Oh yeah, dude's telling the truth, and there ain't shit we can do about it. Come on, let's go do vacuo stuff, Merc." And then Merc's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, let's go do vacuo stuff." And they get in a plane, and he's like, "Man, ah, I." Tyrion looks back.
Packs
He's like,
past the aux cord, and then
"Yeah."
and then Tyrion just plugs in just wall music for the entire trip there.
Speaking of music, a little detail that I and many others liked was during the whole like Grim Invasion scene, Salem was pulling a Watts and conducting it like an orchestra. That was a very pretty
It was
scene.
Yeah,
very
with
good. Yes, I
the,
liked it.
with the Watts thing, it made more sense to me because he had actual buttons to press. With her doing it, it just seemed like
She's
reuse.
showing off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not really. I didn't really dig it
it's
that
very
much.
pretty.
I would have much preferred it if she had just like looked at it and they had just like shown her just looking at it, and I would be like, yeah, that's probably what I would do. I'd probably just stand there and look and be like, oh hey, my grandma killing people, cool.
But back to the Tyrion thing for a bit. Josh Grell is a treasure.
I
Like
know, I was gonna say that.
he is for. I mean, when we talked about Devil's a part timer earlier, he was Satan in that.
Yep.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. He was Futuro in Quintessential Quintuplets. He's Tokoyami, the Bird Boy, in My Hero Academia. They just let him go full ham in this, and he was a little obnoxious in Volume 4. We kind of criticized him for that, trying to too hard
I
to be
didn't,
like
by
a
the way.
Jared Leto.
I didn't. I liked it. Just so you know, I always liked him. I always liked his performance.
But I think ever since they gave him other villains to work off of, he's really coming to his own with this character, and he has the best line in this volume. It's my favorite Tyrion line, and it's such a good note to go out on. And it's the like Salem's wanted, been alive for so long. All she wants is sweet release. If you don't understand that, you must be out of your mind.
Oh yeah, that line was
I
so
mean,
good.
I
you
His
know,
delivery here is
I was just-
so good.
Tyrion is so on point. I mean, he probably like Tyrion. Okay, let's be real frank here. Like, whenever you're insane, like there's a reasonable chance you've got a high IQ to back up the insanity or to fuel it at least. There's no reason why Tyrion probably knows like the logical conclusion of whatever Salem's gonna do, and he doesn't care. He's along for the ride. He's bought in.
I
Like
mean,
even if like he doesn't know, like he basically hit the nail on the head with his scorpion tail.
also, by the way, like this is at this point, if you bought the companion book, you're retarded. I'm sorry. Like this,
I mean, that's just companion books anyway.
yeah, but like
Honestly,
you're extra dumb. Okay, none of that was canonical. They completely ignored all of the stuff that was written in there about everything.
yeah. Like
Like,
we still don't know, and we until like we get Jin giving the actual like relic of knowledge thoughts on it. We won't know for sure like what Salem's vision for this future is, because like for all we know, she could be summoning the gods for the sole purpose of like killing herself. Okay, so in volume 6, her whole goal in that volume was to unite humanity under her
seems
and use the relics that way. Like the gods just wanted humanity united. They never said under what banner.
and
So I could see like
it was
a gotcha
the
with
god of
that.
light that said that too. Like he was like, "Yeah, I want humanity united," and Oz never during that conversation was like, "Wow, you both want that? Where's your brother at? So he can also tell me the same thing, so I can confirm that both of you definitely want that, and it's not just you."
And then it's like, oh, it was all just a terrible prank. Jokes on you for summoning us.
Oh, what? Humanity still exists? You guys died like ages ago. Fuck. Okay. I guess we'll kill you.
Yeah, Brother Darkness doesn't even know that there is another humanity. He still thinks it's just Salem. That'd be funny. I doubt that'd be the case, but that'd be funny. But yeah, like we know that when all 4 relics are brought together in the same place, the gods will come back and judge humanity one last time. I don't know if Salem knows that. I assume she would. I assume Osmond would have told her that when he was explaining things to her. But there
Mm,
is a lot of leeway. The writers haven't really written themselves into a corner with this yet. There's a couple ways they can worm their way out of this.
yeah, there's a lot of things that have not been said or properly agreed upon if you go down to the absolute letter of things.
Yeah, I still think the gods thing is really dumb. But for the record, I'm never
The
gonna
gods,
stop saying that.
Oh yes,
They have to
it's all dumb.
They have to really write their way out of it. But I mean, like, hey, but at least the volume right now is good. Okay, I'll
They're
be
taking
happy with that.
advantage of the terrible hammers that they have in the toolbox.
Exactly.
And Ozpin / Oscar are swinging it like it's no one's business.
yeah, they bring, but like basically they they could always just not bring them back. Like that's also a possibility. They could be like, yeah, we figured out how to not do that because I don't want them back because like I don't know if you get down to like the absolute way in which united humanity, like what if Timmy gets angry at his mom because he got grounded off video games one time, and they're like, oh, that kid got grounded off video games and hates his mom now. Humanity's not fully united. We've got one conflict going on in one place. Time to destroy all of you. You didn't fucking live
Yeah,
up to the
that
agreement.
that'd be dumb. Yeah, I really don't like this as like the end goal for both the heroes and the villains. Like I'd rather it be what Hazel thinks at this moment, where it's just like whoever has all four relics basically controls the world.
Yeah, that would probably make more sense. Hell, I would even accept that more if it was the gods who said it. If the gods were like, "Yo, we have these four relics. If you want, you can go gather them up and take over the world if you want," or like somebody else could. Might want to think about that. Just as like a a thing, Oz. We ain't coming back. You don't got to worry about the world being destroyed, but we got these relics we're just lying around. If you want them, you can go ahead and use those.
Oops, sorry, we just left
So
these powerful objects floating around here.
I
yeah,
mean, to be
so
fair, that's very godlike behavior from these gods. I would buy it. I would be like, oh yeah, that seems like something they'd do.
so are we ready to get into the Ruby scene?
Yeah, I suppose so.
It was pretty good. I will say this, like right now with the Ruby scene, it's like, man, the Whitley and Weiss moment, it was good. That's the
Was.
wholesomeness that this show needed, like a week before Christmas.
I've seen a lot of like complaints overall with this scene. I don't I don't understand why people are assuming that like Ruby, Weiss, and Blake should just leave Nora at Weiss's house and join the front lines of the military trying to actively arrest them, and also be able to do that via like instant teleportation because they think that this fight has been going on for hours when it's been going on for like minutes. Like
Eh,
like how
I
long does it
agree.
take how long does it take for someone to fall from Amity to Atlas? That's how long it's been going.
like
Yeah,
it would only
exactly.
take like a couple minutes, maybe, depending on altitude. But like, I mean,
Depending on like how it also depends on how much control Phineas had.
also
Because she could have been like stopping and starting. She could have crashed down right in the wasteland and been trying to like get to Ruby all this time. Like we don't really know about that, but you know, it's safe to say that like the fight hasn't been going on that long.
it's it's kind of a I get why maybe people would be pissed off about it, but like I also get where Ruby and them are coming from, because like they basically went up and did the thing, and now they're like, okay, now what? And there isn't really a now what. They only had that one plan to begin with, so I'm not sure what they're trying to think of now, because like they up with it this far, and so it is they are in a very what do we do now position. So I'm perfectly acceptable of them like trying to consolidate and think like, okay, what do we do now?
Not only that, but they're trying to get a hold of Yang,
Yeah.
who's been like off comm since the Hound showed up.
mm,
And so like you know she's worried about her sister. She wants them to like group up and make like a decision of like which front line are they going to fight? Are they going to fight in the crater? That's assuming that there's even action going on in the crater. We didn't see it. We have no reason to really like trust May that it's actually that bad down there. Or do we like fight with the place that has like a full-fledged military but is also like fighting something that is vomiting and endless sort of grim?
yeah, it's weird. I will say though, like, honestly, Ruby, if you can't get the comms up with your sister, just swap out the Whiskey 2 cable, okay? Like, seriously, it's not that big a deal. That's like half the problems most of the time with radios. Just fucking check the cables, make sure they're on tight, troubleshoot that shit. You'll probably get it to work. And if it doesn't work, just smack it on something.
Coop, the actual military radio repairman. Just smack it on something. It'll work.
Done it before and it has worked. Also, sometimes if you have techno magic powers, you can literally just hop in and touch a button and it'll start working for no fucking reason.
Yeah, I've experienced stuff like that before. Uh, but let's talk about May, and the kind of based and red pilled way that they decided to like actually have her gender identity matter.
It was like, hey, my parents didn't like me because I wanted to be a girl, and so I decided to go down and hang out with the bums in Mantle because I'm a cool, edgy teenager, and that's what we do. And I fucking hate them, and now I want Atlas to die because fuck Atlas and my mom and dad. Even though I didn't have the balls to just kill them myself if I really hated them that much.
Yeah, the idea is that May is no better than Ironwood, that she is even more willing to just serve Atlas up on a platter than Ironwood was serving Mantle up on a platter. And like, yeah, people are going to die, but there's a difference between, you
My
know,
people dying and
willing
your people dying.
well, there's a difference. This is from Ruby's perspective. Like, there's a difference between like sacrifices that happen in the heat of battle and actually like abandoning your post and just letting people die so that you can like have a more defensive position again with for like other people. And like the thing that really doesn't make sense about May's whole motivation here is the fact that most of Mantle's population was already evacuated to Atlas last volume.
Yeah.
And who was helping them evacuate people to Atlas?
I think what I like
Yeah.
about this, though, at least in my mind, is it does seem like the writers know that May is wrong, and I like that. They like are let like Ruby know, like they're showing that Ruby is aware that May's logic is flawed, and this is not what I would have expected from Rooster Teeth, but I'm very happily surprised that they're not just having like the trans character just be, oh, of course they're right. You know what I mean? Like they're not coddling that. They're like, nah,
Yeah, no.
trans characters being a dumbass and being an
Ruby is
asshole.
calling out the pot, calling the kettle black.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
like that. I'm
And
not
I
saying
mean,
like, oh, I'm just saying like glad like they're a real person. They're just like they can be an asshole too. You
I
know, they're
think
not like
I think
it's
a
not
lot
doesn't
of
feel
the
like propaganda, which I feel like I was worried about with the new writer. But
I
that's
think a
so far
lot of
not
the
what we're getting.
time what the problem is with like Ruby and the way that she does a, a lot of the whenever she's like talking to someone, it seems to me that she doesn't address the details that would actually convince them of things. Like she never in that conversation brings up really that hey, we evacuated a huge proportion of Mantle's population up here. There are a shit ton of Mantle people currently here right now, like because of us. And she never really brought that up. Like maybe she did and I just forgot. But like that would be something that you could that I would be immediately like, hey, what the fuck are you talking about? You want to kill off all of those people that we already brought up here specifically to try and save? And then
That's a
like
good point. That's a
and
very good
like
point.
it's it and it seems to happen a lot with her that she kind of addresses things in too vague of a way without ever bringing up specifics on why she's doing stuff certain ways. And I think like I really think that a lot of the shit probably could be avoided if she would just tell people why it is that she wants to do shit like that. Like she never her entire interactions with Ironwood, there was never any seeming reason behind it that she ever brought up to actually explain why she had decided to do things like that. And like and here the reasoning is very visible and apparent, like even to us. And I'm not sure if that's like meant to be like a character thing or just like a weird direction with the style and approach of the dialogue writing here. Like, I don't personally get it, because if I see something wrong and I'm like, oh yeah, this is how it's wrong, and people don't seem to understand how it's wrong, I would immediately try to explain to them how it is wrong. I don't know.
No, I agree with you. The thing is that's interesting is this is something that happens in a lot of shows where we know that we know that like something is wrong. The main character knows that it's wrong. We can tell that, which is the case here, right? But then the main character doesn't explain the very obvious reason why it's wrong. And which is what you're saying, Coop. Like you wonder, okay, if I was there, I would be telling this person the reasons. I wouldn't just say it's wrong. And I always wonder the reason I always thought that happened was just like time, I thought, or something like that. But in this case, like, would it really take that long for her to just explain why? This is
I
something that happens in a lot of other
think
shows. So I'm not saying that to defend Ruby. I'm
I
just
no, no,
saying that like
I
it's
I
weird.
think I think I think this might actually, like, and like you said, it does actually occur in a lot of other shows. And I think it might be an over extremity with the whole show don't tell approach of
Hmm.
things. Like, sometimes you literally do have to tell in order for it to make sense how someone is managing to convince someone else. A lot of people have kind of bought in too heavily to show don't tell, and this show in particular, it would seem, does not want to reiterate previous points or bring up things that are audience apparent, for the reason that they think, oh, the audience knows that, they can very clearly see that. But that's not a really good. That has some bad knock-on effects for the character interactions sometimes, and you kind of need to balance those things out. You can't be so unwilling to reiterate something that you don't do it when it's like actually probably a good idea that we say this again.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's I don't know. It's confusing because it's like not the only time this happens, and I think you're right that it's like it's show don't tell taken too far, which is why it happens so often because a lot of shows try to go the show don't tell route, and then they go too far with that
I,
route.
I
So
I think it's basically because it is always said as such a simplistic rule that seems outwardly to be the be all and end all thing that nobody really questions, that it ends up happening. But like, I think a little bit of like looking into this and maybe adding a few words onto it might help out with certain industry practices in that regards. So I would probably say show don't tell, unless telling is actually probably the way to go. Like,
yeah,
That's why I
and I, and
like.
I think to
I like.
defend a little bit, I guess, for a second, is in fairness, like a lot of stuff that like we would say in real life is doesn't happen in shows and movies and
it
things
does
like that, right?
it doesn't. That's
So
more that's more I would say that that's more of a dialogue kind of fluidity thing usually. And the reason that people don't like y- when's the last time you've seen somebody stutter that didn't have that as like a huge character quirk of them? Like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
normal people stutter all the time, but
Mhm.
like a character in a movie probably won't unless that's one of their quirks, that they stutter a lot.
Yeah, the last show that I ever saw that like actually had those kind of quirks in the show was the Andy Griffith Show, which is from the 1960s. So that's kind of been eliminated from TV and movies at this point.
Yeah. And Andy Griffith, he would often go back over the same word a couple times.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And other characters in the show would as well.
yeah. Because and I think partially that might have been due to the reasons behind that. The Andy Griffith Show was always trying to show just like normal everyday people living type of deal.
Hmm.
uh, and it was there was of course comedy to it, but like it was a very wholesome kind of sitcom and stuff. And like that I think maybe I don't know whether or not that was merely a stylistic choice on the Andy Griffith Show's part due to the direction and they actively wanted that, or if they just overlooked it because they were like, yeah, people talk like that. Um, as far as nowadays, you do not see that sort of normal uh, person parlance coming out quite that much.
No, you definitely don't. That's very true.
Nora is still out of it and delirious, and she even says like, what's my worth now?" or something along those lines, which, you
I'm
know,
like, bitch,
kinda
you got
sad.
a boyfriend waiting for you. You're worth
Yeah.
like a fuck. You're worth your weight in gold right now,
Yes.
literally. I bet that dude would probably murder people over you. Like, just
Yeah,
I hope he
probably.
does. I hope he does. That's what I want to see. I think
like,
I personally feel I hope they go the route where like part of it is like he sees how she feels and he's got to that's what snaps him out of it. I don't want
uh,
it to be like if they do the whole like oh she doesn't need him anymore thing, I'm going to flip tables. I will
I
flip
bet,
tables.
I
I don't
bet
think
you.
they are though. I don't think that's
I,
what's going to happen though.
I don't think they would. I don't think that they would want to like just put all the Renora fans on suicide watch like that. Okay, we've already got way too many people doing that. Like what with the dog waterproofing buffs that put seal mains on suicide watch, and the fact that possums can eat bananas now and monkey mains are on suicide watch. We can't fucking keep doing this, guys. I don't. If I had to make a predictions, which I hate fucking doing with this show because I never am able to predict anything correctly, I don't think, except possibly the chandelier thing. I pray to God that they actually do drop chandeliers. That'll be worth it.
It's more likely now than ever because, the penny crash lands, and,
Uh,
both Cinder and the Hound are gonna be
It,
coming after her,
and where
and
there's
they're
a
gonna have to
chandelier,
they're
there
they're
must
gonna
be a
have to Home
fight.
Alone this. They're gonna have to Home Alone this.
Yeah, but
Oh,
like in
dude.
in Rin showing up and seeing Nora's case, what I think would probably be the most stylistic fucking thing to do is that Rin shows up, he sees Nora see him, and he sees her flower petals change to a color of flower petal he has not seen on anybody else ever before. And this is a very decent indicator that she has a very unique emotion towards him, that he should probably figure out what the fuck that is.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that very much. And then he goes and kills shit for her.
mostly Grimm probably because that's
Mostly
who they're fighting.
chandeliers, because
Yeah, definitely the
assuming,
chandeliers.
okay, so assuming they go in the whale, get Oscar out, probably set off the bomb, because why would you mention a bomb without actually setting the damn thing off and making a cool explosion?
Chekhov's gun. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and so they set off the bomb, escape the blast, get out of the whale, fucking hightail it with Oscar over to the Schnee Manor so he can get some medical attention, possibly. Set him down right next to the Nora that has also been receiving some medical attention from one of the fucking personalities of Klein. Uh, Ren sees Nora. Nora's like, oh shit, it's Ren, that guy I am insanely in love with and don't understand why he won't fucking just marry me already. Like, what's going on, Ren? Check out these cool new scars.
Hmm.
Pretty neat, huh? It's kind of like a
Yeah.
roadmap.
Yeah. Now trace it with your tongue. So
Yes.
uh, I would be shocked if there hasn't been fan fictions like that yet. So Klein's back, and apparently he's a doctor.
Who?
Well,
Because one
okay,
of them called that. What's the
that's not surprising. Okay, one of the seven dwarves' names is Doc. So, like, why
True.
would
true?
he not have doctor powers? Easy
Who
fucking.
called that? Because somebody called that like a few episodes ago. Was that not high powered?
It's probably high
What
powered.
was the
We're
call out?
gonna.
We did last week predict, or a few weeks whenever they arrived at Schnee Manor, we predicted that Klein might come back and throw down because remember our joke in Volume 4 was that the house was actually just his stand.
Yeah, You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say that even if we did all collectively predict it, I'm giving this prediction to High Powered because he deserves one because he's a good guy.
Thanks, Coop.
I power
I
predict us
appreciate
quite
that.
I know it wasn't me.
It comes in
I know
waves.
somebody else said it.
Yeah, it's good to have J. Michael Tatum back in the cast again. He's another one who is very good, very prolific voice actor. Uh, and Whitley was the one who called him, and I really like the moment where he's like, "I didn't do it for you," and Weiss is like, "That's why it actually matters to me because I've spent my entire life being like manipulated and gaslit and trying to manipulate and gaslight people and try to like just placate people in order to get what I want, and like." Had you just done this for me, it would just be, you trying to placate and trying to like win me over with your whatever charms. But no, you did this not for like personal benefit or personal gain or even a relationship gain with your sister. No, you did this because you're actually kind of a good person.
Yeah, you did it for the right reasons, which is why I also really liked that whole thing. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was well done. It was nice to see.
We lost Coop.
Uh-oh.
Oh no! Did his thing crash? Might have been what happened. But I think that's about
Hopefully he'll
like the rest of the that was basically the episode, and then we got like a 7 week break now. Man,
Yeah.
I'll be
It's so
honest.
weird because
Saturday, whenever I woke up Saturday, it's like, oh yeah, it was like 3 o'clock. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, RWBY came out, and I sat down and watched RWBY. I was like, oh, it was pretty good.
Yeah, same honestly. And I was kind of dreading that like, oh god, this one is going to be the one that sucks. I felt it and I was wrong. Um yeah, we got 7 weeks before the next episode. Eddie has teased going that this was the tame half of the volume. Not surprising, it hasn't been like a super dramatic or super exciting volume. There haven't been as many fight scenes as we were originally predicting. But
that's okay. It's
yeah.
been the best volume so far.
It's a good warm up. It's a good preemptive for the last four episodes, right? Or 5?
6. There's 6 more episodes, I think.
I thought it was 6 as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Hell.
Oh, me too. This is gonna be a long 7 weeks. We'll figure
Yeah,
out
we'll have
something
to
to
do
do on the
we got
interim.
Christmas. Well, we got Christmas, which will have already happened by the time people are listening to this. So, are we ready for questions then?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Cronington asked, "Do you think Watts is gonna die this volume?" I think the time to kill him was last volume. I think they really bait and switched us back then. That now his death, I don't see how it could have any kind of impact. Though I also don't see what usefulness he would have in Vacuo.
I'm pretty certain Watts could figure out a way to hack sand.
Still see them killing him, but I'm not expecting it the way I was before. You know what I mean? Like it's possible, but I'm not expecting it at this point.
Aubrey Harris asked, "Why do you think that Mercury and Tyrion were the ones sent to Vacuo?" Tyrion
They're both
is
pipe hitters.
yeah. Everyone else already has like important plot reasons to be in Atlas. Tyrion already did his thing, and he doesn't want to be alone, so he decided to take Mercury with him.
She clearly doesn't think that she needs him to win here, obviously. So what's the point of keeping him around if it's, you might as well get started on the next important thing.
CB Henson asked, "What is each of your guys' favorite and least favorite moment so far of this volume?" I'm gonna pick the fight scene. There is a moment better, but I think we could all collectively agree that like Rin going off on Yang was a highlight of this half. So I'm gonna go with the Cinder versus Penny fight scene.
I'm still gonna say favorite is Ren going off on Yang. That was definitely my favorite, most favoritist moment of the volume so far. And least
I'll have to
favorite is
line
just
it up there. Yeah.
the whole first episode was my least favorite part of the volume so far.
Yeah. Least favorite part. I made a deal with the darkness. So cheesy.
Oh, was that the cheesy line that
Yeah. Crow.
Crow said? Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
bad. That was really, really bad. And that was in episode 1, right?
I think
No, it
that
was
was
in
episode 2
episode.
or
I
4.
think it was episode
Oh,
2 or 4.
Yeah, 2 or 4.
okay, whatever. That was like the worst line, but I still think like the whole first episode was like
Yeah.
just that whole scene where Ruby where like Ren and Nora were upset at each other for completely not the reason they ended up being upset at each other for, and Ruby and Yang were upset at each other for no good reason whatsoever. That was just ridiculous. Those two things were the worst part.
Quiet Message asked, "How long do you think it took Hazel to finally give up on killing Salem and for Salem to break him? 6 to 8 months."
Sounds reasonable. Hazel seems like a pretty determined man. Oh wait, I missed the joke.
J.K. Lilly asked 2 questions. Do you guys feel bad for the people of Atlas that being this is the only time we've seen them for some reason? Uh, I don't know why we would feel bad for them that they've avoided screen time, considering they've still gotten more screen time than the people of Mistral.
Yeah, they weren't even animated in Mistral. They're just like a
Yeah.
2D image.
Yeah. And second question, how long was Penny falling for her to show up now? It depends on how much control she's had. The more control she's had, the longer it could have taken, and the more likely it is that she would actively seek Ruby's like scroll signal out or something. But the less control she has, then the more this is just a coincidence, and the more like this happened very quickly. You guys in agreement on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right. She just landed there to land there for plot reasons. Like,
Yeah.
there's no like point in
Well,
arguing
it makes
this.
I mean, it makes more sense now that she landed outside because the whale keeps spewing out more Grim. Which,
Yeah.
if they landed somewhere where it was more likely to be destroyed, then she wouldn't keep getting her more Grim. So it actually does make more sense to have it here, I think.
Yeah. Sean Resendez asked 2 questions. Do you think Neo and Yang will fight again? And if so, who will win this time? I mean, next time they fight, I think Yang will end up pulling out a victory. I don't see her losing to Neo again. That'd just be like a rehash. Uh, I don't think it's going to happen this volume. I don't see it happening this volume. Neo's plotline and Yang's plotline just aren't at a point where they can feasibly intersect. Like they'd have to just run into each other while Yang is looking for Oscar. That'd be the only way that the fight happens this volume.
Yeah, because I think the implication is like Neo's just gonna chill at the whale while I don't know. It's hard to say if Cinder's gonna run solo.
Yeah. Second question: do you think Cinder or the Hound will fight Winter and the Aesops, or do you think one of them will die? Uh, one of the Aesops again? Maybe. Like we get a question like this almost every week. Like, will one of the members of the Aesops die? And the same answer applies. Like, maybe. I don't really
Yeah.
care.
Roll a dice.
Yeah, I don't really care that much personally. The one more relevant would be if Winter died and she still got screaming death flags all over her. So
Yeah. Cinder is gonna be the one to find Penny. She's gonna get that rematch against Ruby here. And I do think a Cinder versus Ruby fight will be more interesting than a Ruby versus the Hound fight.
agreed.
The Holy Cinnamon Roll asked, "Who are the MVPs this volume, and who are the most insufferable characters?" Most insufferable.
Crow, definitely
I'd say
Crow.
I'd say either Crow or Yang really got on my nerves too.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah,
great, but
yeah, I'd say that. I'd say the MVP though is like honestly,
Yang's
it's like
been-
Red. Red's been kind of like pushing this plot forward by himself. It's kind
Yeah,
of funny.
Red-
oh yeah, Ren
Ren-
is super
uh,
MVP this volume. Like it's not even close. I mean,
Yeah,
he's got the romantic tension. Like they're actually finally addressing the romantic tension between him and Nora. He's got the new superpowers. He's the one who told Yang off. He's the one who's angry, but you can understand why. Like, yeah, I mean, Ren's the reason they're getting to go rescue Oscar. Yeah, 100% Ren. Obviously, somebody
Yeah,
needs to slap sense into him eventually because he's going too far off the deep end. We know that, but that's still an interesting thing that I want to see happen.
yeah.
So yeah,
I'd also throw Cinder and Tyrion in there as well because Tyrion's just been a delight every scene he's been in,
oh yeah,
and
Josh Grohl's delivery
I've
is
been
just
really
so good.
liking Cinder this volume.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know how they
which is
managed to
weird.
do it, but they're making
Yeah,
Cinder work.
yeah.
It took them 8 volumes.
Hey, you know what? She already existed, so at least it's good now. I'm not saying it makes it worth it, but I'm glad she's been solid this volume.
Blade Charge asked, given we have seen Atlas military in a full-on battle, what's your opinion on the Atlas military? It feels like the writers learned military tactics from playing Sid Meier's Civilization instead of actually like looking
Yeah,
into military. Uh,
I mean, I don't think they'd ever hire like a veteran anyways because they're all like, supporting, American imperialism. So,
well,
yeah.
they wouldn't have to. They just have to read a book.
I mean,
Just
they
read a
are
book.
Americans, so I don't think they know how to read either. Another American.
it's not
Yeah,
hard
another
to like
American from
out
Texas,
that
no
like
less.
military tactics have evolved well beyond that too.
Yeah,
As we mentioned previously, that's like they're using pre-Civil War tactics,
yeah.
which is kind of ridiculous. And you'd think Ironwood would know better. You think anybody at that point would know better, especially because we've seen fights before where they don't do this. Like people just take cover. They're in an urban area. Use that to your advantage. I don't know. It's dumb.
One thing I want to point out because I meant to say this earlier. Why aren't they using dust to create cover?
Good question.
Just
Like
just just pouring
that's
out
just
earth dust on the ground and be like, oh look, here's just
or ice
yeah.
dust create fire pits. Fucking yeah. There's so many ways they can be using dust for in situations like this. Upjohn1 asked, "Was this an alright cliffhanger for you?" I think last week would have been a better cliffhanger, but we do know now that this was not originally written to be a cliffhanger. There wasn't originally going to be a hiatus. They were forced into one by COVID, so the break was kind of a last minute thing to the production pipeline. So it wasn't written with a break in mind.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's fine. Like, it's still good. I'm really not going to complain about it.
do you think Ren semblance could be used to see if Emerald or Neo are telling the truth? If one of them helped them, or be used to see that the Hound has emotions. I don't think that. I think the Hound is just a grim, guys. Stop with the Summer Rose theories. I know, like Dragoon, you didn't suggest Summer Rose, but like you kind of did because that's been the theory. Just stop it. Get some help. Uh, as for Emerald or Neo, I don't see any reason for them to join. Especially Neo. Like Neo would just if Neo actually wanted to just not work for Salem, she'd just Mary Poppins her way out of Atlas and just leave. Any thoughts on that though? On
I
Ren
agree
using
with
a
you.
semblance to
Agree with you. I mean, it's I you could kind of use it for that, but I hope that's not really what he's going to use it for. You know what I mean? It's not really like a truth telling thing. I think it's more like you can sense how somebody's feeling, which like somebody could beat that. You can lie without being super nervous. You know what I mean? I don't think that's really going to be the issue. It would only be used to somebody like something where somebody's so clearly obviously lying that you'd be able to tell even without the semblance. I don't think that's the use for it.
well, I mean, and we kind of saw that a little bit with Winter with the fact that she had a whole rainbow collage of rose petals, so like not even Ren could accurately tell what she was really feeling and what her actual intentions were. And Winter wasn't even trying to like, juke him out. Weishney asked with Penny landing next to Ruby, do you think they're setting up Ruby versus Cinder? Yes.
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 And then Lord Sinister 707 asked, what do you guys think that Blake and Yang story independent of each other? Uh it's
I
it's
don't.
better it's better than volume 7, I guess. Like I don't really know what you're asking. Like how good is
Yeah.
the story? Uh, yeah. I mean, I already
There's
said
not
that
much
Yang is
really.
the most insufferable character, or one of the more insufferable characters.
Yeah, Yang's being dumb. We've already addressed that. She's probably the worst of the main characters this volume. Um, so the only really, I guess the only really bad, and Blake hasn't really done much at all. So she hasn't pissed me off, which is nice for a change, but she hasn't really done anything positive either. So nothing bad. I just like she hasn't really done much. So there's not really anything going on with them, which I think is part of the problem because they've teased. Like I've said this before, they've teased um, that relationship so much that they have to address it now, and they're still not. So it's kind of a problem. So I guess bad, really, overall. Then I would say I don't really
So
care though. I still think that the show's good right now, but they're not really doing anything with that.
yeah, yeah. Blake's only gotten like 5 lines this volume. It's actually kind of refreshing, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
It's really
Uh,
nice. I mean, well, actually, here's the connection. It's been the best volume ever so far, and Blake has barely said or done anything.
Oh, and
Damn.
what's his name? Is Yuri Lothal's talked the most? Is
Yeah,
the
I mean, well,
And
think
you
barometer
about
know
it.
what?
how
And
much
you
is
know what? And you know what? Same happened in volume 6.
Yep,
Blake,
almost no
but
Blake.
Blake did almost nothing that whole first half,
Yep,
and then as soon as the plot started revolving around her, her
wasn't as
plot
good
line
anymore.
was good, but the rest of the volume around her started falling apart. Oh my
Yep,
god,
and
you might be on
and
something.
and what was previously the best volume before Volume 6?
Volume
Volume
4.
4.
For
Why is
sure.
Volume 4 not as good as Volume 6 and Volume 8 now? Because of the Blake slide, the Blake plot line. That was the worst part of Volume 4 by far.
Yeah, I know we cracked the code like in the first podcast we ever did, but we cracked it again. The code still works. It's an older code, sir, but it checks
But it
out.
checks
Blake
out.
ruins the show.
Blake ruins the show. The end. Oh, there we go.
If you liked what you saw here, you want to see more, like, comment, and subscribe. It's Christmas, guys, so things are going to be a little slower on the channel. We do plan on doing a Mandalorian podcast sometime, but that probably won't come until January. Um, I got some other videos I'm working on. I've recorded a couple that I'm going to work on throughout the hiatus. Uh, Now, support me on Patreon. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, uh, and yeah, have a good hiatus.
Have a good hiatus and Merry Christmas.